Hey viewers, welcome back to my another video. And as I said in this video, I'm going to discuss about standard libraries and how we import the standard libraries by using the import keyword. And then I will discuss two or three different types of libraries in Python. So watch the video till the end and get the necessary informations in this video. So the first thing you have to know is that we use import keyword to import the libraries from Python which are already installed. That is, we use import keyword to use the standard libraries. So whatever library you have to use, you have to write import math. Like if you want to import the math library, so you have to write import math, and similarly import OS and import random. And similarly, there are more standard libraries, but I am taking the example of these three only. So all the other necessary codes you will write inside this line. But first you have to import your library by writing like this. Now I'm going to discuss about some functions of math library. So first I will discuss some functions which help us to perform the operations on number. So first you have to learn about that how we use, that is how we write to use any function of library. So we write the name of library dot the name of function and then parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis we give arguments, the number of arguments which the function needs. So it depends on the function, like how many arguments we are taking. So the first function is scil, scil, and this function helps us to round up the number to the nearest possible integer. And floor is the function which is used to round down. There is a difference between ceil and floor, which I will discuss in further video. And factorial, as we all know, I think everyone should know that what is factorial in mathematics. So like if you want to find the factorial of 5, then we have to write 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. This is how we find the factorial of any number. And GCD is the greatest common divisor. Like we have to find the greatest common divisor of the integer which is written inside the parenthesis. And then the next function is I square root. This is ISQRT, which means I square root, integer square root. So this function will return you the integer square root of the number which you have given inside the parenthesis. Now these are power functions, which means this function help us to do the operations on power. Like this is pow, POW. So we will write math.pow and in bracket x comma y. This will work as x to the power y. Like if we want the square of 5, then we have to write 5 comma 2 in the parenthesis, then it will take as 5 raised to the power 2, and it will return us 25 as the output. And then the next one is square root. In the previous functions we were discussing about the integer square root, but here it is normal square root. So this function will return us the output even in the integer data type and the float data type, but that I square root function will always return us the output and integer data type. Now these are the functions which help us in trigonometric operations and distance operation, like sine, cos, tan. I think every mathematics student has learned these functions, and also not mathematics student, but every student learned these functions in 10th class. So I think everyone can understand this. And dist is a function which help us to find the distance between 2 points. So we write as math.dist, and in bracket we write p comma q, that is the two arguments. So this function return us the distance between these 2 points. Now I'm taking some examples. So my first example is to find the square root of a number. So here I have written import math to import the library math, and then we have to find the square root of a number. So I have taken a variable num, and this num variable has stored 144 as the value. So I want to find the square root of 144. Now as I said, if you want to use any function of any library, then you have to write like the library name dot the function name, and then in parenthesis you have to give the argument. So here I have taken a new variable, that is square root, so that whatever my square root will obtain by the function will get stored in this variable, so that I can print it in my output. So I have taken a new variable, that is square root, and I have written square root is equals to math dot sqrt, and in parenthesis 144. I have written 144, so you can also directly write 144. And also I have taken a variable num, so you can also write num, so it will be taken as 144. Both are correct. So this line will find the square root of 144, and then it will store the square root in the variable square root. And in the fifth line I have written print square root, so this will print the square root of 144. So our output should be 12. Now we will run this code, and here is our output. So now as we have to write some effective code, so it is better to write one line instead of multiple lines. So simply you can write print and in parenthesis math dot sqrt and again in parenthesis 144. So this is very easy instead of using multiple variables for storing different values. So here this sqrt function will find the square root of 144, which I have given in the parenthesis as the argument of the sqrt function, and then it will print my output because I have written everything inside the parenthesis of print function. So this will directly give me the output 12. Now I'm going to discuss about the difference between ceil and floor function. So the ceil function help us to round up any number, and the floor function help us to round down any number. And I think everyone know the basic rules of rounding off any number in math, so I'm not discussing that. But by the help of those rules, you can understand these functions very easily. So I'm taking a number as an example, that is 5.2. So when you will use the ceil function for 5.2 for the nearest integer round up, so you will get 5 because 2 is less than 5. So it will give you 5.0, or you can say 5 as the output. And when you will use the floor function for 5.2, then it will give you 5.0 or 5 as well. But now I'm taking another number, that is 5.7. Now 7 is greater than 5. So in the rules of rounding off, everyone know that if the number is greater than 5, then we have to add 1 to the main integer. So we have to round up here for the nearest integer by using the ceil function to 5.7. So 5.7 will become 6 by using the ceil function. And if you will use the floor function for 5.7, then it will give you 5 as the output. This is what the difference between the ceil and the floor function. So for the 5.2, all the numbers like 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, it will give you 5 as the output, both the functions. But when you will use the numbers like 5.6, 5.7, I'm just taking an example, you can take any number. So when you will take these numbers like 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, then you will see the difference between these functions. So the ceil function will give you the output by adding 1 in the main integer. So it will give you 6 as the output, but the floor function will give you 5 as the output. So generally you can understand like the floor function works to give you the lowest possible integer of that number, whatever you have written. Like if you are writing 6.2, then it will give you 6. If you are writing 6.9, then it will give you 6. So it gives the lowest, and not lowest, it will give you the closest lower possible number or integer closest to your number whatever you have given. Here I have taken the example, so I have written import math to use the functions of the math library, and then I have written print math.floor and in parenthesis 4.7. So now it will give me the output 4 as I discussed. So I will run this code, and here is my output, that is 4. But when I will use ceil function for the same number, that is 4.7, then it will give me 5 as the output. This is the difference between ceil and floor function. I think everyone can understand, and if you have any problem, then you can tell me in the comment section. I will solve. Now I'm taking the next example, and here we have to find the factorial of any number. So we can do this question by also using the loop and different methods, but here we have to learn the library function. So we are using the library, that is math, and it will give you the simplest way to find the factorial so that you don't have to write multiple lines for finding the factorial of any number. Here a function factorial exists which will directly give you the factorial of any number which you want. So I have simply written print math.factorial to use the factorial function of math library, and then in parenthesis I have written 10. This means that I want the factorial of 10. So now I am using the calculator, and here I have find the factorial of 10. So how I will find? I will do the multiplication among 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And after multiplying these numbers, it will give me the factorial of 10. Now, if I will run my code, here you can see that our answer is correct as we have calculated by using the calculator. So this is how you can use the functions of library, and this is how it makes your work very easy. Now I'm going to discuss the functions of another library, that is random. There are generally three functions of the random library, that is random, rand int, and rand range. I will discuss these, so watch the video further and get the knowledge about these functions. So first I will discuss about the random function. So the random function don't take any argument, it simply gives you any random value, whatever you have asked about. Like I am taking the example here so you can understand. Simply I have written import random to import the library and use the functions of library random. And then in the third line I have written x is equals to random dot random. Here the first random is the name of my library and the second random is the name of my function. This is how you can access any function of the libraries. And now in the fourth line I have written print x. So whenever you will write random dot random, then it will give you any random value, and this will always return you a floor data type value in your output, always. So remember this, and it will always give you the value between 0.00 to 0.99. It will always give you the value between these number. So now I'm running my code, and here you can see this is my output. And when I will run my code for the second time, here you can see, and similarly whenever I will run my code, there will be any random value coming in my output between the number I tell you. Now if you want that your number in your output should between from 5 to 5.99, then you can simply write like this. Like I have taken the example 5, but here I have written 3, so I think everyone can understand. Like if you will write random dot random parenthesis plus 3, so this will add 3 to the range whatever your output comes between. So this will now give you the output from 3.00 to 3.99. So now I'm running this code, and here you can see my first output. Similarly, whenever I will run my code, you can see the number between 3 to 3.99. And similarly, you can add any number according to your need. And you can also subtract numbers from this, like I have written random dot random minus 3. So this will subtract 3 from the range of number in which our output come. So now our output will come from minus 3.00 to minus 2.01. And I will run my program, and here is my output. Similarly, you can run it many times and your number will always come inside minus 3.000 to minus 2.01. And decimal points doesn't matter, it will be any random, because we are using the random function. Similarly, you can multiply numbers like I have added and subtracted, and you can check the output by your own self. Now I'm going to discuss about the next two functions of random library, that is rand int and rand range. So rand int is a function which works like inclusive functions. Inclusive function means this includes the external value also, and the rand range function works opposite to the rand int, that is this do not include the external value or the stopping value, I can say. The rand int function take two arguments strictly, and the rand range function takes one, two, or three argument. But rand int function must have two arguments. You can't give one argument only. This is the difference. And in rand range, you can give one also, two also, and three as well. And the rand int function do not contain the step parameter. Like we can't give steps in this function, but the rand range function has this property. Like we can give steps by using the rand range function. Now this is the format of both the functions. So first we have to write the function name, and then inside the parenthesis we will give parameters. So I have written rand int and then in parenthesis start and comma stop. And you have to remember that the rand int function includes both the parameters in the output. And now when it comes to rand range, we will write rand range and in parenthesis start and then stop plus 1 comma step. I have written stop plus 1 because rand range is an exclusive function. So if you want to stop at 5, then you have to write 6 there so that you can print 5 in your output. So this is what you have to mind. Now moving towards the example, we will see here. In the first line, I have written import random to import the library and to use the functions of random library. And now in the third line, I have written x is equals to random dot randit and in parenthesis 1 comma 4. This means I want to print the number from 1 to 4. But it will also give me some random number because it is a function of random library. But the number will be from 1 to 4 and it will also include 1 and 4 because this is a rand it function or rand int function. And I have written print x, so this will give me numbers in the output. Now I am running my code and here you can see the first output is 3 and again 3 and again 3 and then 2 and 2. So similarly your output can be any random number from 1 to 4 and also the outputs can repeat, like there are three times in the output, so it is not necessary that if you will get 3 then another time you will not get it. So repetitions are also occur in the random function outputs. Now this is an example of rand range function, and in this example basically I have tried to print the even numbers. So I think everyone know that if we want to print the even numbers, then we just simply give the step parameter 2 so that we can leave one number after every consecutive number. Like if you will print 0, then you have to leave 1 and then again you have to print 2. So this is the way you print the even numbers. This is very similar to the range function and the slicing one. So here I have written x is equals to random dot rand range 0 comma 8 comma 2. So 0 will be included because this is the starting position and 8 will not be included because this is the stopping position. So our numbers will only run till 7. And also I have given a step parameter 2. So 2 will work to leave one numbers between every consecutive number and then it will only give us the even number like 0 and then it will leave 1, then again 2 and then 4 and then 6. So it will only give you output randomly among the numbers 0, 2, 4 and 6. Now I will run my code and here you can see this output. I have run the code many times and you can see the different outputs coming. This will always among the numbers 0, 2, 4 and 6. You can also run the code many times and you can see the more outputs coming. Now this is a multiple choice question and you have to understand this code, decode this, that is you have to dry run and then you have to choose from these options like which options are correct. In the first line import random is written, so this is used to import the random library and to use its functions. And now in third line there is a list which is stored inside the variable whose name is list as well. And in the list there are 4 elements cat, rat, bat and mat, and you have to perform every task on this list, so see the list properly. And now in the fourth line it is written that z is equals to random dot rand int in parenthesis 1 comma 2 plus 1. This means our random function can give any random value for any time, but it will give only 2 values, 1 or 2. So it will give a random value among these 2 values only. Like it can give first time 1 or it can also give 2 for the first time and it can also give 2 for the first time and then again 2 for the second time. This is how the random function can give us the numbers by using the randit function. And now we have written plus 1. So I think everyone can understand that if the random function will give us, that is the rand int function will give us 1, then 1 will be added to it and it become the final value 2. So z will hold the 2. And now when the rand int function will give 2, then 1 will be added to it, and now z will store at the last 3 as its value. This is how the possibilities of number occur by the randed function. And now in the fifth line, we have used the for loop, and I have written for a in range and in parenthesis 2. So a is the variable here, and as there is only one parameter inside the range function, this means that this is a stopping position and there is no starting position. This means that 0 will be our starting position by default, and 2 is written here as a stopping position. This means that our loop will stop at 1 because this is range function and it stops before one value as the given stopping position, and there is no step, so it will run for 2 times when the value of a will be 0 and next time the value of a will be 1. And inside this loop it is written that print, and inside the parenthesis list square bracket z and int is equals to hash. So int works to make our output to occur in a single horizontal line, and now list and in square bracket z will work as the fetching method of list, like the way we fetch elements from a list by using its indexes. So now you have to understand overall that our loop will run for 2 times when the value of a will be 0 and when the value of a will be 1 respectively. So the loop will run for the 2 times, and for these 2 times the rand int function will give the value of z, will decide the value of z, and it can be anything. Only two values are possible by rand int function, that is 1 and 2, and when the 1 will be added, because it is written plus 1, so when the 1 will be added, then the final value of z possible is 2 or 3, as I have explained. So once again I am repeating, the loop will run for 2 times and the possible value of z is 2 or 3. So I have discussed the meaning of every line and what will be the values of z and a. Now I am going to run the code, like I am dry running the code. So for the first time the loop will run, then the value of a will be 0, and then when we will come inside the loop, then the possible value of z can be 2 or 3, and as inside z is written inside the square bracket, this means that z is used as the indexing in the list. This means that first we have to see the indexes of every element in the list. So now you can calculate by yourself that cat is at the 0 index, rat is at first index, and mat is at second, and the bat is at the third index. This is what the indexes of the elements in the list. Now we have to see the possibilities first, and we will see what are the outputs are possible, and then we will go to the options and then we will select the possible output. So now for the first time there can be two possible values of randed. So we are taking the first possibility. So first the rand it function can give us 1 as its value, and then when the 1 will be added to it, then the final value of z will become 2 for the first time. It is only a possibility, it is not necessary to get the same things when we will run the code. So now at the second index the element is mat, so it will print mat, and now we have used hash as a separator. So now mat hash will come in our output, and as loop will run for 2 times, so now loop will run for the second time, and this time the value of a will be 1. So now there is no work of a separately, a is only indicating that there is two value of a, thus the loop will run for 2 times. So now for the second time it is also possible that this time now again the value of rand int is 1. So now again the value of z will be 2, and then again mat will come in our output and then hash as a separator. So the output will be mat hash mat and then again hash. Now I am going to explain the next possibility. So it is possible that for the first time when the loop will run, then the value of randed become 1 and then z will become 2 after adding 1 into the value of randed, and then the element which is at the second index is mat, so our output will be mat hash, and then the loop will run for the second time, and now it is possible that for the second time the value of rand int come 2. So now when 1 will be added to 2, then the value of z will become 3. And at the third index, the element is bat. So now in the output, after mat hash, there will be the second element, that is bat hash. So now this is also a possible output, that is mat hash bat hash. Now this is the third possibility. So here when the loop will run for the first time, then it is possible that the rand int value come as 2. Then the value of z will become 3. And at the third index, the element is bat in the list. So output will hold bat hash. And then again the loop will run. And now it is possible that for the second time the value of rand int become 1, and then the value of z will be 2, and then at the second index the element is mat. So the output will be bat hash mat hash. And this is the last possibility, that the value of rand int become 2 for both the time when the loop will run. So the z will become 3, and then the output will be bat hash and bat hash. So there were four possibilities, that is when the value of rand int become 1 and 1 respectively for the two times of loop running. And then the second possibility is the value of rand int become 1 and 2 respectively. And then the third possibility is the value of rand int become 2 and 1. And for the fourth possibility, the value of rand int will become 2 for both the times the loop will run. Now these are the possible outcomes which can come when we will run this code. So now we will see our options, and now we will choose the correct options that are in the possible outcomes. So these are the options. So the first one is cat hash mat hash. So cat was not possible in any of the possible outcomes. And then in the next option, there is also cat in the output. So the cat element is not possible because it is not at the index of 2 or 3. Now the third and the fourth index, both are correct because they are either at the second index or the third index. So our final answers will be the third option and the fourth option. So that's all for this video, and I have discussed every necessary thing in this video. If you are learning Python language only to start your coding journey or to know this language, then this knowledge is enough for you. But if you want to learn about the specializations like AI/ML and AI through Python, then you have to learn more about the libraries like NumPy and etc. And also, if you want to go more deeper in this language, then you have to. But as here I am discussing the Python language so that every student can gain and learn what a Python language is hold. So I am ending my discussion on libraries here, and I have discussed many functions, but also there are a lot of functions which I have not discussed. So if you have any confusion, then you can ask me in the comment section. Otherwise, this is enough knowledge that you should have. Thank you for watching and follow for more.